However, in 2011, we make that shift into what we've been calling the alien wars. And again, both of those words, alien and wars, may be inappropriately chosen based on past paradigm, and it may not lead to the kind of construct that is built in your mind when I say alien wars. It may be something entirely different, and we should know more, actually, if we, through this next run, when we get into the data, we should have a better understanding of what that will look like, although probably not clear as well. This will also be the time that the dollar dies significantly. It will bring starvation. We expect 1.25 billion people to basically perish from this earth over this next year due to the combination of the breakdown of the healthcare system, the unleashing of these more deadly viruses by the powers that be in their attempt to cull the populace, as well as the chaos and the revolution that will pick up from there. And then beyond that, it's all detail. So really, if one wants to get prepared for it, one needs to strengthen their body against disease and strengthen their mind against chaos, get as centered as possible, and then sort of watch it all in observer mode.
Okay, understood. I get the picture. So we're still within, say, the general thrust, the general direction of your last, say, 2 to 3 reports. I would like to go into the line of thought. It's not a question. It's a subject that we've been discussing because we're aware of your work. We've, of course, all read and studied this. We're very keenly aware, and we do our own thing, which if I may summarize from our end to give you a little bit of input is we are already for a number of years preparing what we call here in my jargon radiant zones from my book Light Seeds, or you call them self-organized collectives. And I was going to ask you simply to talk a little bit about what you see yourself coming about in terms of this Aquarian self-organized collective, which I would call the super movement worldwide, planetary, and then maybe some advice as to what one can do. And I wanted to go into this sort of juxtaposition of survivalist movements on the one hand, which we are not about, as opposed to say, getting life or getting on with it and not only make the best of it, but enjoy what we're doing, gardening, creating our geodesic domes, etc., and talk a bit about that. And then at the end, I have one more entirely different line of thought, which will be kind of like a little surprise. So let's go into this first part that I mentioned.
Sure. The first part is that basically I agree with you. It's time to make that transition to where we leave behind the concept of survival per se and get on with creating the new future. And I'm personally looking forward to being able to put the WebBot project behind me because to a certain extent it is indeed old technology, and to get on with the new fun stuff. And I've been doing this for a number of years, so I'm just a little bored with it. The whole thing about the supra collective will really emerge in the chaos that surrounds the death of the central banking and warfare model over this next year. So I suspect by July of this coming year, we'll all be able to say, yes, there it is. We can see the beginnings of the supra collective, however we want to think about it, as all of our various different groups all come together and we all agree as sovereign individuals to participate in a common collective consensus and view of the future. That will not be an easy thing to occur because without the hierarchical, patriarchal model of thinking, where everything is imposed on us from the top down, we're all going to have to invent new mechanisms for getting along with each other and making compromise an effective thing that we can all live with, as well as being able to state clearly what it is we're all working towards.
Well, I agree. This is where we agree. You see, this is what we like to get into a little bit more into, like, for instance, how are we going to stay in touch with each other? How do we know we're around? How do we work together globally, internationally? I mean, we're not everywhere at the same time, in the same spot, like we're now with 11, 12 friends from several parts of the world. Will that be still possible? Will there be air traffic interruptions? I guess yes, for a little while. Will this resume? Can you take us, the Radiant Zone people, with a positive outlook who are at work already, in this sense, through our, say, parallel future, how we do all this?
I believe that it'll all eventually get to the point where we shed such things as airlines, airplanes, airports, etc., but not global communication or global transport. So whatever the new electrics are, they bring to us the ability to take our destiny into our own hand, if you will. That given the new electric basic core, an individual could decide that they were going to build themselves. For instance, I might decide I'm going to stick my new electric anti-gravity engine in my boat. And so I might just actually float my boat over to a lake and settle it down in Germany and sit and chat with you.
That's great. This is very good what you're saying, because that goes to the idea that the reporter of the future, Cliff High, becomes the creator of the future. That answers that other question. I feel it is quite okay that we who are thinking together about this future are actually just simply doing it.
Yes, exactly. I'm tired of simply writing about it. I need to get my hands in there and get them dirty and make some of it because I want that boat. I want that boat that can go and
I want my solar-powered plane.
There you go. Only it won't be solar-powered because you'll be able to get energy right from the creation of the templates, and it'll probably be in something about the size of a grain of sand with maybe a little box, a few centimeters on either side, to allow you to make the connections to physical reality. So we won't even actually have to worry about solar power per se. It'll be a much more elegant system in that regard. And in fact, it might even get to the point where it has some interface to your mind, a la the TARDIS in Doctor Who. And so it's going to be, it may even be that we might even consider these devices to be alive because they'll be tapping energy directly from consciousness. It's just going to be cool as hell. Unfortunately, we got to get all of these old thinkers out of the way and tell them to, stop bugging us while we get on with things.
That's the point. I'm glad you see that. This is what I also said in my book about the crystal slates. We can go a little bit into crystal and gold if you want. I have one question that came up here as a follow-up towards the end of our talk here. What is the impact of the entertainment, quote-unquote, entertainment part of your reports that is growing within the masses? Are you aware of this?
Oh, yes, I am. And I've taken, in spite of its appearance, otherwise, I take a great deal of time and energy to pick out the appropriate words based on the understanding of how they will ripple out and the effect that they will cause not only on my own processing later on, but also on that part of humanity. Because I'm not attempting to be a Stephen King, for instance, and write a horror novel in a weird form. Rather, what I'm attempting to do, as I say, is to do a sightseeing throw. And in a sightseeing throw, I'm trying to throw, for instance, in Aikido, there's the uke and the nage, the person that does the attacking and then the person that does the throw. And so I'm allowing the unenlightened masses of the planet to attack, and I'm going to throw them by showing them certain correct things in a sequence and in an entertaining way, and that is to say, involve them to where it shifts over from entertainment to fun, so to speak. A fun activity is something you go out and do, whereas an entertainment might be something you sit and watch. And I'm going to attempt to, with my work, to bridge that gap and bring a number of the people that are currently just observers into the fun part of it, where they throw themselves into the new future, if you will. And along the way, we just have to give them enough information to tell them where to roll so as not to injure themselves. Make sense?
This makes sense. This is very, very beautifully said, because we here look at it, of course, not as entertainment. We feel this is very serious work we're doing. However, we also see the fun in this because we want to do our serious work, including having our own transportations with the new electrics, etc. But this all becoming fun and something that some of us have been waiting a long time for to break through. So I just
all of our whole lives, you and I, unfortunately, were in that particular part of the generational separation where most of our lives have been spent in waiting, probably because universe needed us to wait and learn, but we've been waiting, and I'm tired of that waiting. It's time for action.